Every 15 minutes, somewhere in France, a new millionaire is born. Not through a lottery win or a single dramatic stroke of fortune, but through the steady, compounding accumulation of property values, investment returns, and inherited assets that UBS has now quantified in remarkable detail. That works out to roughly 96 new millionaires every single day. It is a headline that sounds almost impossible, yet the data backs it up entirely. But here is the question this figure should immediately prompt: is France an outlier, a statistical quirk in an otherwise stagnant European picture? Or is this kind of wealth creation playing out right across the continent, and if so, who is actually benefiting and who is being left behind? Today, on the 18th of July 2026, we are diving into the very latest data to give you the full European picture. What you find might genuinely surprise you, because the story behind the headline is far more complex, and far more unequal, than it first appears. Let us start with France itself and unpack what is actually behind this astonishing rate of wealth creation. According to UBS, France is currently producing new millionaires faster than almost any comparable European economy. The drivers are several and worth examining individually. First, French property, real estate values, particularly in Paris, but increasingly in regional cities like Lyon, Bordeaux, and Nice, have climbed dramatically over the past decade. Many of today's new French millionaires are not glamorous entrepreneurs or hedge fund managers. They are middle-class homeowners whose primary residence has simply crossed the €1 million threshold as prices rose. Second, equity markets. French savers who maintain stock market exposure through recent volatility have seen substantial real gains. Third, and this factor will only grow in significance, intergenerational wealth transfer. France has one of Europe's oldest populations, and as the baby boomer generation ages, vast quantities of accumulated wealth are now actively moving to the next generation. Taken together, these three forces create the structural conditions for millionaire production at genuine scale. France's rate is impressive, but it does not exist in isolation. Across Europe, wealth creation is deeply and strikingly uneven. Germany, the Eurozone's largest economy, generates millionaires steadily but at a lower per capita rate. German financial culture traditionally favors savings accounts and cautious investment over the property and equity exposure that has turbocharged French wealth accumulation. The United Kingdom, now operating independently outside the EU, tells a nuanced story. London remains one of the world's premier concentrations of high-net-worth individuals, yet broader wealth creation across the country has been constrained by persistent inflation and sluggish productivity growth. At the other end of the scale, Switzerland and Luxembourg continue to punch spectacularly above their weight in per capita millionaire density. Their financial services industries and favorable tax structures actively attract wealth from across the continent. Perhaps the most thought-provoking data point, however, is this: recent analysis identified 5 European economies set to grow at more than twice the Eurozone average rate, suggesting the wealth map of Europe may shift considerably toward these faster-growing nations over the next few years. Here is where the picture becomes genuinely troubling, and this is the data point that deserves far more attention than it typically receives. Whilst France is minting millionaires at one every 15 minutes, a separate analysis published in July 2026 found that real wages properly adjusted for the impact of inflation, remain below their 2021 levels in roughly one-third of the European countries examined. Let that land for a moment. 5 years on from 2021, a substantial portion of Europe's workforce is effectively earning less, in real terms, than it was before the inflation surge hit the continent. This is not an abstract statistical footnote. It means that for millions of European workers, particularly those in Southern and Eastern Europe where inflation ran very hot but wage growth lagged badly, everyday life is materially more expensive than their pay packets have ever fully compensated for. And this is happening at the exact same moment as the millionaire boom. These two facts are not contradictory, they are two sides of the same economic coin. Those who own assets have prospered, those who live on wages have, in many cases, gone backwards in real terms. A particularly revealing strand of the European wealth data concerns younger adults, broadly those under 35, and where they actually hold the most net wealth across the continent. The findings challenge several comfortable assumptions. Scandinavian countries, where state-backed financial education is strong and low-cost investment products are widely accessible, tend to see relatively healthy youth net worth figures. Switzerland similarly performs well for young asset holders, reflecting a culture of early saving and equity participation. But in much of Southern Europe, young adults face what can only be described as a genuine double bind. Housing has become increasingly unaffordable precisely as they reach the age when previous generations were purchasing their first homes, whilst at the same time wage growth in these economies has been amongst the slowest anywhere on the continent. This generational dimension of European wealth inequality is not a peripheral concern, it shapes life outcomes for decades. A young person unable to build assets in their 20s and 30s will face compounding financial disadvantage for the rest of their working life. There is a practical, everyday layer to this wealth story that is easy to overlook in the headline figures. Recent comparisons of Europe's most popular holiday destinations examined the actual cost of food, drinks, and hotel accommodation across the continent, and the findings illustrate, in miniature, the broader wealth divide. Countries in Western and Northern Europe, France, Germany, Switzerland, Scandinavia, are dramatically more expensive for everyday spending than their Eastern and Southeastern counterparts. Bulgaria, Albania, and parts of Romania remain genuinely affordable by comparison, offering a summer break at a fraction of the Western European price. For France's new millionaires, this cost differential is almost irrelevant, they can afford wherever they choose. But for the significant proportion of European workers whose real wages have not recovered to 2021 levels, even the choice of a summer holiday involves serious financial planning. The continent's economic geography is widening, and it is visible not just in datasets, but in the lived decisions ordinary people make every single day. Looking ahead, the trajectory for European wealth creation points toward continuation of this two-speed dynamic, at least in the near term. France's millionaire production rate is not expected to slow dramatically, property values remain elevated, equity markets continue to reward invested capital, and the intergenerational wealth transfer that demographers long anticipated is now firmly and irreversibly underway. The 5 fastest-growing European economies identified in recent analysis could meaningfully shift the wealth map by the late 2020s, potentially moving the center of gravity for wealth creation towards Central and Eastern Europe as investment flows chase higher returns. However, the real wage stagnation issue is a structural problem that cannot be resolved quickly or painlessly. Without meaningful real wage recovery in the countries currently lagging, consumer spending, the foundation of domestic economic growth, will remain under pressure, and the divide between those who own assets and those who depend on wages alone will continue to deepen year on year. Here is the clear-eyed conclusion from everything we have covered today. Europe in 2026 is, in a very real and measurable sense, 2 entirely different economic experiences unfolding simultaneously on the same continent. In one experience, France generates 96 new millionaires per day, property values compound upward year after year, and accumulated wealth flows steadily between generations. In the other experience, 1/3 of European countries have not managed to restore real wages to where they stood 5 years ago. Young adults across Southern Europe cannot afford to enter the housing market, and choosing a summer holiday abroad requires genuine financial discipline. Neither of these stories is the complete truth on its own. The Millionaire headline is entirely real, and so is the wage stagnation. Understanding both, together, is what gives you an accurate and honest picture of where Europe actually stands today. The question that follows, whether this level of economic divergence is politically and socially sustainable over the long term, is one that European policymakers, voters, and economists will be wrestling with for years to come. And if history offers any lesson at all, it is that such divergences rarely continue indefinitely without consequence.